Coach, after all these decades for Tom Brady, do you think he's done?
Well, I think if he had to make a decision after the game, he would be, Mark, for several reasons. Number one, when you sit back there in a rocking chair and can throw to great receivers, great protection, you're winning, everything's going right. All of a sudden, you get sacked 3 times, you get knocked down, you get a bloody lip, you lose. Plus, you don't have your great receivers. Gronkowski looks like he might retire now. In addition to that, Antonio Brown walked off the field against the Philadelphia Eagles, and Godson had gotten injured earlier in the year, and consequently, they got beat. They were down 27-6. Yeah, because the Rams had 4 fumbles. They did manage to come back and tie it, and then beat them with the D one. However, in the offseason, he may end up going with a different team, Mark. He set us up to his family. I think if he does go anywhere, I don't believe it will be with a Buck. If he's going to play anymore, I think he'll go somewhere else, maybe to a Denver.
Coach, is Aaron Rodgers done in Green Bay, or is he done it overall? Is his career over?
No, his career isn't over by a long shot, Mark. He's going to be the MVP of the league. He's still a great quarterback, probably the best by far in the NFL. However, if they don't sign Adams, a great receiver, that would certainly have an awful lot to do with it. What does the salary cap do? Where are they? How many great receivers can they add? Where can they help in the offensive line, et cetera? I think that if he doesn't stay at Green Bay, you have to look and say, where would he go? I think the one place he might be able to go to is the Denver Broncos. I think Denver Broncos is a very good football team, Mark, on defense, offense, run the football. They've had problems passing the ball. When Terry Bridgewater was the quarterback early in the year, they were a little over 500. They were in the playoff hunt. But then he got injured and it went downhill. So they really haven't had a great quarterback. At Denver, there's probably John Elway left. I don't know. Peyton Manning possibly. But I think that Pittsburgh Steelers also would be a potential place. Anybody can use a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, but I think he has to look and say, where do I fit in? What are the things that are important to me? Just like Tom Brady did when he left the Patriots. He looked at they got a great defense, got great receivers, good offensive line. Now the Bucs offensive line's banged up, and so consequently he gets knocked down. When you get knocked down and you lose, football's not an awful lot of fun, Mark.
Coach, the divisional game between the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs went to overtime. The Bills never had a chance to go down and score and tie it up. What do you think about the NFL overtime rules? Should they be changed or should they be adjusted at all?
I think they're unfair right now, Mark. It was probably the finest football games I've ever seen. 2 quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, they put on an unbelievable display. There was 25 points scored in the last 2 minutes of that game, Mark. In the fourth quarter alone, Mahomes threw for 195 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a classic battle. But poor Buffalo Bills, they never got a chance to answer. I think if you say, okay, let's do the regular overtime rules. But with this exception, both teams are going to get at least 1 possession of the ball in order to be fair. If both of them score, then you continue it again. But it's just that way. You have to be able to be fair to both teams, and I don't think it was, and I can understand why the Buffalo Bill fans are totally upset. I would be also.
Coach, Antonio Brown, do you think he still has a chance to play in the NFL? Would you take him as a coach?
If I was a general manager, I would say, now let me see. Now, he's with Pittsburgh. They had a lot of problems because he didn't like the quarterback, didn't like management. Then he signed with the Raiders, and that didn't very last with Gruden. And then he went to the Patriots, and that didn't last very long. Then he went with the Bucs. Now, let's see. 3 strikes a year out. He's on 4 right now. But I think he's such a talent that somebody may. But if we had to do that, I would say this. You're going to come to our place, and you're going to get psychotherapy the entire offseason. And if you miss 1 single meeting, you're no longer on our team. In addition to that, I'm going to write out the do's and the don'ts. If you abide by the contract, fine. If you don't, you're long gone. This is your last chance. I would take good advantage of it. You're going to find out that all the budget that you have in your life, cars, fancy homes, etc., that comes because of your ability to contribute to a football team. Yes, he's a great player, but he's also an individual, and you have to look and say, how will his value on the field offset the turmoil that it might occur in the locker room?
Sean Payton retired, Coach. Did it shock you? It came out of nowhere. I didn't think he was going to retire. I thought he was just going to take some time off.
I did too. He may surface again after a year. As Bear Bryant said to me one time, if you can live without coaching, don't coach. And there's really an awful lot of truth in that. You get worn out, you get tired at the end of the year. I always felt that I made bad decisions at the end of the year about I'm going to retire. I suggest this to everybody. Wait a month. Wait a month after the season where all of a sudden you put things in the proper perspective. To make a decision right after the end of the season is one that you'll usually regret. So I think he will surface again in the NFL. He's a great coach. He's an outstanding person. He's done a tremendous job with the Saints.